peasants? This is simply Monarchy 101. Why you commoners blame Konami for the big problems that you've been having. You forgot who actually runs Konami since they're in my domain. Since Konami is under the rule of King Cali, not only will I continue to foil your plans, there will be more Exo Stepsister cards and even the new first, second, and third cousin cards so I can rule the world and get the Holy Grail. What? What did you expect? I'm a king. My first wife was my sister. What's going on with ya, big dog? And it is Workout Wednesday. I hope that your Wednesday is phenomenal. But if it isn't, don't let what happened at the beginning of your day ruin the rest of your day. Something really quick that I have for you guys on Workout Wednesday is to actually work on the problem and find out a solution. I know a ton of people that get into the gym and they be like, my guy, you're in the gym. No matter what your current ailment is, there are so many ways to be able to attack, rehab, and even make it stronger than before. I urge you guys, if you can't do a specific function that you probably were used to able to doing, attack that, fix the problem, and do it with a smile, because you're going to be able to accomplish it as long as you work hard. Just like how we're going to be working hard to fix these current Yu-Gi-Oh problems. Konami, you really got to fix this, my man. I know that it might be a little hard, and that's why I came with solutions. I have never been a guy to just voice problems without giving my opinion on what will be a solution. I think that that is terrible for your zen. Always, if you have a critique or a problem, provide what you think would be a reasonable solution. Just like if you don't agree with what I'm about to say, you can go ahead and let me know down below in the comment section instead of saying,
Candy, you're wrong. That's why you can't play Yu-Gi-Oh.
My guy, I can play Yu-Gi-Oh. I ain't reading no Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I actually want to start off this video by talking about some things that Konami does extremely well, because it allows you to give insight into what are the problems, and then it can actually come and tie in what can be the solution for the future that would literally change the card game for the good. One thing that I absolutely love about Yu-Gi-Oh is roughly every 3 months we get a new core booster Yu-Gi-Oh set. These core booster Yu-Gi-Oh sets not only give support to older archetypes to make them a little bit stronger, more often than not they actually bring a new archetype that can be fun and exciting and completely game-changing. I think that one thing that Konami does right about this, as they didn't do in the past, is that they try to give you as many competitive archetypes as possible, decks that can actually be really good. Take for example Darkwing Blast. Both of the top decks in Yu-Gi-Oh at the time of Tier Limits and Sprite got a little bit of a boost through Tier Limit Ru Kalos in Sprite Sprint, but we actually seen support to some other archetypes like Draco Slayer, Black Wings, and Labyrinth that was actually huge. This set was so good, it even made a strategy that everyone thought was completely terrible in Naturia a powerhouse Yu-Gi-Oh deck that topped over the course of the season. As for the new support, Darkwing Blast actually introduced the Bestial monsters, which are really good against some of the best decks in Yu-Gi-Oh and can also be played as an engine inside of other strategies, or you can make a deck with them that is extremely powerful. I think that's something that most players can agree with this Darkwing Blast set. Konami did a really good job of giving us so many great hidden gems in such a fresh new format with other decks that can actually compete once you sit down and take the time to figure out how powerful these strategies can be. Overall, sets like Darkwing Blast, Power of the Elements, and going all the way back to 2020 with Eternity Code have been received relatively well, as not only do they bring out powerhouse cards, new cards, support for older decks, they're just really fun sets to play. But now I think we can start getting into our first problem with Konami. It's actually the reprint in box sets. They are less than desirable.
My friend, Konami, you actually do a great job with your main sets, but how you fumble the bag with your reprint and box sets, they should be easy bread and butter.
Reprint sets are designed to be able to give you highly sought after Yu-Gi-Oh cards that you need to be able to improve your deck. Box sets also typically give you reprints or upgrades of certain cards, and they sometimes introduce new cards, engines, or extra deck cards to be able to enhance the Yu-Gi-Oh card game overall. It's safe to say that in 2023, 2023, Konami completely failed in this category. If you're looking at the glass half full, the good thing is that we received reprints to highly sought after hand traps like Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, Nibiru to Primal Bing and Infinite Impermanence. The bad thing is that we received them way too late. Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring is a card that came out in 2017. It is ridiculous that 5 years later, we are just getting prints enough to make it a $10 Yu-Gi-Oh card. Also, the timing of these particular sets could not be worse. We all know that peak Yu-Gi-Oh starts at the beginning of the year, starting from around February all the way to October. It tends to fall off starting around August and feels completely dead around December. Konami releases the reprint set starting in August. My guy, what the fuck are you doing? I can see if this was a marketing tactic to attempt to try to bring players back into the Yu-Gi-Oh card game, but one of the biggest reasons why players quit is because they can't have some of those powerful cards that players are playing because there's no available reprint. It's almost like your girl breaking up with you if you're not nice to her, and then you come back to her door telling you you're gonna be nice.
Baby, come back to the game. I'm a changed man. I got reprints.
Well, I guess I could.
Back in the game, bitch. Prepare for a worse Yu-Gi-Oh you didn't even know you could experience.
Hidden Arsenal Chapter 1, Ghosts from the Past 2, The Second Haunting, Magnificent Mavens, and the Megatins of 2022 all failed to miss the mark in their own respective properties and overall were either ill-timed sets or just gave us reprints when it was too late. To make matters worse, Magnificent Mavens actually introduced a new engine, the Ishizu cards, which made the tier limit strategy hands down the must-play deck for the entirety of the Darkwing Blast format. Just when you thought that things couldn't get worse, they actually got worse. Typically in the days of old, when Konami releases a structure deck, it breathes a breath of fresh air into the Yu-Gi-Oh card game. It is a cheap budget Yu-Gi-Oh deck with great reprints that can also be extremely competitive. See structure deck Albaz as one of the pinnacles of structure decks that were extremely good, extremely cheap, and very fun to play. Structure deck Dark World was actually set up to follow up on structure deck Albaz as one of the decks that was going to be cheap and extremely competitive, but thanks to Magnificent Mavens and Ishizu being so utterly dominant, Dark World is pretty much faded to obscurity in the competitive Yu-Gi-Oh card game, not only because Tier Limit being the best deck, but the counters for Tier Limit, since it is hands down indisputably the best deck in the entire card game, just so happen to destroy the Dark World deck. You can genuinely say that this is not only terrible card design, but also terrible product placement by Konami. They genuinely fumbled the bag right here. If not for Magnificent Mavens, the Darkwing Blast format was actually shaping up to be an extremely fun and competitive format with so many strategies being able to compete. But because of a terribly placed drop, players have been quitting more now than ever, and it still gets worse. Just when you thought you couldn't kick a man when he is down, Konami, oh my God. How many bags are you going to fumble? It's only the beginning of 2023, my friend. Normally when somebody says new year, new me, they wind up being the same person. Konami said new year, new me when they decided to drop Amazing Defenders. Now I have no problem with the deck build sets. I actually think that they're a phenomenal idea if you do them right, and unfortunately, Konami has done them wrong. The deck build booster sets like Amazing Defenders are designed to be able to give you 3 new archetypes plus rarity upgrades and reprints for some sought after Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Amazing Defenders gives you the new archetypes at least, and they feel old. They can't even compete with 2019 Yu-Gi-Oh decks and have a fair chance. In my opinion, Konami has 3 huge problems with the Yu-Gi-Oh card game that if you fix them, I promise you, it'll bring in more players will be excited, and on top of that, it will make the game as fair and balanced as possible. Problem number 1 is bringing around reprints that players have access to, as well as the timing of said reprints. Problem number 2 is the timing of making these products throughout the format to keep the format fresh and healthy. And problem number 3 is pretty self-explanatory: making terrible Yu-Gi-Oh decks. Fortunately enough, there is a very simple solution to all of this. So the solution to these problems should actually make me a head of directors. I need to be on the board, boys. Of course, Cali for president down below in the comment section if you agree. But I'm actually gonna go ahead and start off by talking about what Konami did right and building off of it. Every 3 months, we get a core booster Yu-Gi-Oh set that completely changes how we play Yu-Gi-Oh. This is so apparent to not only the Konami heads, is that now they name our seasons off of the core booster Yu-Gi-Oh set. We are currently in the Darkwing Photon Blast format, and when Photon Hypernova drops, we'll be in the Photon Hypernova format. I actually really like how Konami does this because it allows you to simplify and control what exactly is going to happen in that format, and then at the end of said format, you get a forbidden list to be able to begin the new format. With that being said, I think that Konami should do away with the yearly Megatens. Instead, reprints should be 2 times a year. One at the beginning of the year to give players reprints of cards that are highly sought after, and then another after the second set of the year to be able to address some of those highly sought after cards that players are looking for from the last 2 sets. This is actually a huge brain thing because not only does it keep the price of cards relatively obtainable, it actually allows players that get into the game to have easy access to some of the strategies they want to play, as well as gives a time frame for players to know when their cards are going to take in value. But don't worry, the reprints will always be of lower rarity than the core booster set cards. Konami don't know that rarity whores such as yourself don't care if other players get the card as long as we get to keep the higher rarity. Next, to keep the format fresh and competitive, just like every other year, twice a year we need a structure deck Konami, but these structure decks gotta bang. These structure decks need to be cheap and competitive, and some of the support cards can actually tie in from the main booster sets to get players to be able to buy the new product and stay into the game. A great example is how the branded structure deck was pretty powerful by itself, but if you got Aluber Jester of Despia from Dawn of Majesty or Ghost from the Past 2, you immediately had an extremely powerful Yu-Gi-Oh deck that can compete with some of the top decks in the game. Next, to address the amazing Defenders debacle, I think that these deck build sets need to only come once a year, and they must have at least 2 competitively relevant strategies inside of the set. Also, instead of reprints, these sets will actually provide rarity upgrades to some of the highly sought after cards. Lastly, to make Yu-Gi-Oh completely phenomenal, is that box sets should introduce engines or other concepts to be able to improve Yu-Gi-Oh decks, but they should not be ridiculously busted. Konami, I still want to smack the you for even thinking that a Shizu cards would have been good. But box sets should also include rarity upgrades to some of the lower rarity cards from core booster sets. This entices players to be able to buy the core booster sets if they're not interested in the particular engine that's being introduced. And the best thing about every single one of these changes that I propose is that you can split them out throughout the entirety of the year, and almost every other month you can have a completely different format. And that is what I have that will fix the current problem in Yu-Gi-Oh! Konami, I really hope that you are listening to this, but I know you guys are, so go ahead and share this with a friend, and I want to see your ideas. Of course, if you want more videos like this, then let me know down below in the comment section. And if you want to check out more amazing content, then check out these videos, big dog. I'll catch you on the next one.